Megan? Or Sherry?
Leisha, are you with us?
I am. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
You're going to be speaking to us about the link. You can go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So good afternoon, Mayor and councilors. Excuse me, Miigwech, for allowing me to speak with you today. My name is Leisha Newton, and I'm the Manager of Economic Development and Tourism with Curve Lake First Nation. I'm here to share the thoughts and commitment of Curve Lake First Nation related to the council report regarding the LINK Rural Transportation Program that council will consider during the meeting today. Curve Lake First Nation is serviced by Route 31, which is an essential transportation option for Curve Lake community members. It connects the community with neighboring areas such as Peterborough, Lakefield, and Trent University, supporting various needs, including access to education, employment, and essential services. The continuation of the Link bus service will have a positive impact on several key areas of service and program delivery for Curve Lake First Nation. Students attending co-op programs, especially those to Trent University and local high schools, will retain access to reliable transportation. Without this service, students may be unable to participate in programs such as the 2-credit co-op course in Curve Lake. Community members who rely on public transportation for commuting to work in neighboring towns such as Lakefield and Peterborough will maintain their ability to travel. The loss of this service could reduce employment options, especially for those without personal transportation. Programs such as mental health and National Native Alcohol and Drug Abuse programs rely on the link to provide community members transportation to health appointments and services in Peterborough and other areas. The usage for this service has increased over the last couple of years. Without the bus, members may face challenges in accessing these essential services, impacting their health and well-being. The service allows non-residents to travel to our community for work and events. Discontinuation could reduce participation in community events and create vacancies in local businesses. The Link bus supports community members in attending local cultural events, including the annual powwow and other social gatherings. Without this service, participation in community events may decrease, affecting social cohesion. If the service is discontinued, it could limit the accessibility of off-territory services for community members who do not have alternative means of transportation. This could negatively impact participation in external employment, education, and social services, including social isolation for some of our members. So as we are aware that the pilot will end on March 31st, 2026, this was discussed with our Chief and Council recently. Curve Lake First Nation Chief and Council passed a First Nation Council resolution to provide a financial contribution up to $55,000 annually to maintain the Link Rural Transportation Service for our community as of April 1st, 2026, in the event that our other partners were in agreement to continue the service.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of Leisha? Councillor Boyko.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Sanders. Thank you very much for that presentation. I come to all of this discussion and the other deputations with an absolute open mind as to what needs to happen. And I think what I am balancing in looking at this is the balancing of the concept of public transportation and the viability of public transportation. And there's the viability that you've been discussing, and I thank you for that. I've got a couple of specific questions to ask you because the viability is based on a number of things, and one is the number of people who are actually riding on the link now that it's been going for long enough that people who've decided if they want to use it, they're using it now. So do you know exactly how many people from the Curve Lake First Nation are using it to get to Trent or to high school? You said Trent and to high school students using co-op. Do you know exactly how many people from Curve Lake are using it for those reasons, to get to Trent or to high school?
I don't have access to that immediate numbers. I know how many passes and things like that we sell through our band office, and those are the ones that we supply. Community pays for them for some of our programming and for our services, so we supply them to some of the members. But that's certainly not the number that our community is purchasing. That's just through our services that we purchase. So I do have some of those numbers, but the ridership, that would be something that Lily or Paris would have in terms of the total ridership. Because I don't have the numbers of like each individual stop, what the numbers that are coming on. I know that it's in terms of the services that are available and through our programming, it's something that definitely our mental health and addictions team uses it heavily to get their clients to their appointments. Many of our health teams and certainly our education team, those are the 2 or 3 teams that use it quite heavily to encourage their clients or to help their clients to get into the other neighboring communities, because they otherwise would not have any method to get into the community easily.
Okay, thank you. If I could, Mayor, through you, that leads to my next question. Then, do you know that number of people that are using it for various mental health services? Do you know how many are using it for that?
Let me just.
And I'm going to ask the next question just to anticipate it, because you said a number of people are using it to get to Trent and high school students doing co-op. You said a number of Curve Lake First Nation people are using it to get to work. A number of people are using it to do to get to health services appointments. So do you know the number of people that are using it for those things?
I don't know the individual numbers for each program. I can tell you that in total for let me just see here, so the total for 2024, for example, we had 12. So we would have had so in 2024 we would have bought $7,500 worth of monthly passes or 10 ride passes or for our community members. So that I know. I don't know how many rides they did with those passes, because those are monthly passes or those are 10 ride passes and things like that. And then I mean, with a monthly pass, we have, I know in talking to our finance department yesterday, we have, I believe it was 6 members that come into our finance department and purchase a monthly pass every month. And so that's people that are coming to us to buy their monthly pass. That's not to say that there's other people that are not doing it more regularly. In other locations, like purchasing it from Trent University or somewhere else.
Understand. Okay, thank you.
All right, Councillor Boyko. Oh, sorry.
I called him Tony.
What did I say? Councillor Boyko, Councillor Henry. Sorry, Brian.
Thank you, through your Mayor Black. I mean, that's
Touche.
Leisha, thank you for the presentation. You had mentioned that Curve Lake First Nation was looking at having a $55,000 supplement contributed if all partners agree and we move forward. Would that be a one-off or would that be annually?
Annually. the commitment was to do that annually.
Thank you. The link system that you have in Curve Lake, the infrastructure that Curve Lake has there with your bus stops and everything is actually quite impressive. It's you've got a lot invested into this already, and it's nice to see us forming partnerships and working forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Deputy Mayor Vlad.
Thank you through you, Mayor. How much is the monthly pass? I don't think I saw that info in the report. Just
A monthly pass is $150 and a 10 ride pass is $50.
50.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to do the math on your 7,500 you spent on how many monthly passes that actually is.
Oh, I can tell you. So it would have been, so monthly passes, we had 39 monthly passes. And then for the 10 rides, 17, we had 45 10 rides as well in a year.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions, and we will move on to our next delegation. And do we have Lori Rourke? So Lori, good afternoon. You are going to speak to us with regards to the link.
Yes, hi everyone. I just wanted to represent Community Care and let you know how important it is to us as a resource for the community and the seniors and people we serve. And we're proud to be a partner and sell tickets. And I've brought a rider here with me today to speak to his part on the link. I also wanted to mention so we're selling the passes. I know I've spoken to people who are working in North End Peterborough and coming to work for us. I have home helpers who access the bus. So I really just wanted to speak to our role in it and the importance and what we believe in the link. Also, I've been approached by the Township of Douro-Dummer and Autonomy South Monaghan, who are interested in the link and see the value in it and really are wanting to mimic it mimic what we're doing to expand it into the county. So just a reminder of how the impact that the link has for riders in the community, but also as usual, the Township of Selwyn is a leader in the county. And I think the link is a great example of that. So we're really hoping that it continues. So that was just my little mini commercial and plea. But I also wanted to introduce you to Doug. He buys passes at our office, and so far since April we figured he's bought 10 8-ride passes. So that's at least 70 trips so far. And Doug, do you mind just joining us just to tell us how you feel about the link? Here's Doug.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say that I'm finding the link very, very useful. It gets me in and out of Lakefield for groceries handily. The hours suit me. I mean, I could only wish for more frequency, but that's too far to ask at this time. It works very well for me. I encounter others on the bus who are making great use of it between Curve Lake and Peterborough. My activity is mostly in and out of Lakefield, but I do make trips into Peterborough. I find I don't quite use enough. I buy 10 ride passes. They accommodate me very well. I sometimes get to the break-even point of where I could consider a monthly pass, but I never seem to quite exceed that where I'm getting a monthly pass. I've actually tried it, but the 10 ride passes are working very well for me. And I just like to say that this is a great service and that I would like to see if we can keep the service somehow. And any way I can talk it up, anytime I can talk it up, that's what I do.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mhm.
Are there any questions for Lori? I have one question before I turn to council. In your transportation services, you offer drivers to pick people up and take them to various appointments, etc. And I'm understanding it's getting harder and harder to get the volunteers that you depend on to do that. So is the link taking the place of these volunteers that you can't get to drive people to various appointments?
That's a good question. I hope so. For those who are able to access it, yes. And that's the other point, that it is a backup for us too. So not having that removes that option for many people. And we know taxis are not affordable. So it's important. Yes. Yes. So it is an option that we want to continue to promote, and yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Lori? Councillor Boyka.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Yeah, my question is essentially, as I asked Alicia, and thank you, Laurie, for your presentation, and for all of the work that you and so many others do with community care. You know how much that is valuable and
Thank you.
valued. You mentioned about workers taking the link who live in Peterborough. So about how many people are using that to go to work?
I know, well, just brokered helpers who are seeking work through us. Right now, just 2. Most of my brokered helpers have their own vehicle, and because we serve such a wide geographic area. But
Right.
I do have 2 students who are brokered helpers, looking desperate for work, so they will take clients in the village of Lakefield. So use the link to get to Trent, get to here, and then serve our clients as well. So
Great, thank you.
otherwise
One
they
more.
couldn't. Mhm.
Sorry. One more question, if I could. I don't know if I could ask through the mayor, through you to Doug, but Doug, circuitous route, but Doug said something about 70 trips. Is that 70 trips a month that Doug is taking on the?
No, Doug, do
I
you mind
don't
if I answer
understand.
that, or do you want to?
understand.
Doug comes to our office regularly buying 10 ride passes.
Yeah,
And up until, well, as of yesterday, he has bought 8 10 ride passes. So I know he's done at least 70 trips since April 1st.
since April 1st. Okay.
Mhm.
So the way that we talk about it, that would be 70 boardings that Doug
Yes.
has made.
Yes.
Okay.
So
got it.
that would be, split that in half, what, 35 return trips.
Right. I understand. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
But the freedom of that and being able to jump on the bus and go when you want is priceless, really.
Priceless.
My-
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
My routines don't require that I, let's say, travel into Peterborough and then I'm gonna travel somewhere else in Peterborough.
Yeah.
It's just like they're return
Yeah.
trips.
Yeah.
In and out of Wakefield
Yeah.
mostly, or Peterborough.
Great. Thank you, Doug, and thank you, Laurie.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Lori? Seeing none, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will now go to Iole Alade. Alade, is it Alade? Ileola Alade. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just gonna
Is
make
the mic on?
Hi, okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mayor Senes, members of council and township staff. My name is Alade Iola, and I serve as president for the Trent Central Student Association. I'm here this afternoon to speak in support of continuing the link bus route between the city of Peterborough and Selwyn Township. I appreciate the opportunity to address city council this evening. Through you, Mayor Senes, the link has become a very vital part of how our Trent community and our community moves. In 2025, Trent students made or accounted for about 50% of all rides taken on the service. Many of these students live along Woodland Drive, where, as council is aware, there's currently no sidewalks or safety infrastructures in place. So between Selwyn Township and the Trent University's, should I say, front doors, all the way to Nassau Mill Road, there are no safety measures. That means that everyday students who, students and residents are walking or cycling along busy rural roads with no protection from traffic. The link provides a safe and reliable and affordable alternative for that. One that prevents unnecessary risks that people have to take on a daily. Through you, my mayor, the benefits of the link extend well beyond the university. For us, it's an important service that residents of Lakefield, Ennismore, Curve Lake, and Bridge North, helping people reach work, appointments, essential services in Peterborough, and obviously back. Since the link's integration with Metrolink GoBus Route 88, it's created seamless regional connection and linking our township directly with Ontario's broader transit network. That partnership between Selwyn, Curve Lake, the TCSA, and Metrolinx is something we can all be proud of. It's an example of what happens when local regional partners work together for, to make the lives of residents better. And maintaining the link isn't just about, keeping the bus route. It's about keeping people safe, ensuring accessibility, and reasserting townships, should I say, ongoing commitment to strengthening regional cohesion, right? And yeah, I just want to say thank you to Mayor Senes and members of council for your time and your continued leadership in building a connected, inclusive, and forward-looking community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Are there any questions? Deputy Mayor Blanc.
Thank you, through Mayor Senes. Thanks for your presentation. Has there been any commitment at this point from the Trent Student Association for 2026? It was $75,000 last year. Has there been any formal written commitment to the municipality at this point for next year?
So my immediate answer to that is a yes, as we do have several budget drafts, and part of that is accounting for Selwyn. And we are open to, should I say, raising that budget with the consultation of the executive team.
Follow up. Yeah, I mean, I certainly support public transportation. I support many social things in our community: public health, homelessness, addictions, affordable housing for seniors. I do all those things outside of my council business. But in looking at the financial contribution from Trent at this point, based on the first option that's been presented to council, the Trent's contribution is 14.6% of that budget. But as you said, 51% of the ridership comes from Trent. On option 2, your contribution is 9.7%. Oh, sorry, no, that's Sir Sandman. Sorry, 18.9%. And again, you're at 51%. So one of the challenges that I'm seeing here is 2 things. Number one, financial viability for the municipality to move forward. The other one is ridership is down significantly year over year, 32% year over year. Some of that I think has to do with the number of students. So 2 questions here. You said you're open to considering a larger contribution. What would that range might be? I'm not asking you to speak for your council at this point, but when you said an increase, are you talking a significant increase or not?
As at this moment, I cannot say. I do believe that we take transit and services that we offer our students very, very seriously. It is one of our core pillars. And so we are open to those types of discussions.
Yeah, I mean, I understand those, the math related to those expenditures is related to tuitions as a percentage. And obviously, again, with the enrollment numbers being down, I don't know that they're as down as much a trend as they are at Sir Sanford. So with that being the case, where tuition is down, is that going to affect that decision? You know, are you committing to a minimum of 75 at this point and possibly more?
Yes. Should I say Councillor Black? Yes.
Sorry.
The answer was yes.
The answer is yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Henry.
Thank you, through your worship. Thank you for the presentation. Everyone's concerned about talking money right now, but you brought up two really good points, safety and accessibility. So are we basically standing in the ditch in the wintertime, managing snowbanks and trying to safely get onto a bus? And if so, how do people in a mobility device manage that?
Thank you for your question. That is a good question. As of right now, I do not have an answer to that. Part of, should I say, the way we work is addressing problems as they come. And so as to us, as far as we have a means of transportation, whatever other problems come with it are solved.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for your presentation, Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you. Just follow up. You'd mentioned the Woodland Acres area as the primary area. What percentage of your ridership do you think comes from Woodland Drive?
I do not have those numbers at the top of my head, but I'm open to sharing them later with members.
Any ballpark? Is it more than 50% of the ridership comes from there, or?
As right now, we're putting out our membership survey, and with that response from students, we will be able to have those figures, but I do not have that right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Again, thank you very much for your presentation. We are going to deal with this report right after I find it. If we have any questions from question period?
No questions.
No questions. Okay. We are going to deal with this report right away, but I would like someone to make a motion to receive these presentations. Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Boyko. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Angela.
Yes, thank you very much. So I would just actually like to start by certainly thanking our presenters today. So thank you for being here from the Trent Student Association, EOLE. I'm sorry. Are you the vice president with the Trent? Okay, thank you. And thanks to Alicia, who is still online. I'm not sure if Lori's still on. Lori had to leave, but thank you to Lori as well. And to Mr. Andrews, who was able to share some personal experience about using the link. Just wanted to mention as well, I do have Cheryl Shillington is also online. She is the manager of transit planning and operations with Peterborough Transit. She's not making a presentation, but if there were some specific questions about the actual service itself, she could help us with some of those questions. I do have a report that, of course, was in the agenda, but I'm going to try to just go through it briefly with you. Just to a couple of points that were raised during the presentation. So in terms of accessibility that you just raised on Woodland Acres, one thing that we weren't able to do with the pilot was make investments in bus shelters. We really didn't want to make that expense until we knew what the future of the link was. But if council does determine that they want to continue the service, I think that would be something that we would want to have a good look at and provide some good bus shelters at key locations that are fully accessible, that would address maybe some of the concerns that were raised, certainly for Woodland Acres, but in other areas too. Curve Lake was able to get some funding a few years ago to make investments in bus shelters, and they've done a great job with that. So we can kind of use their template moving forward if indeed we decide to move forward that way. And just in general, some of the specific questions about the passes themselves. We have the Trent and Fleming passes. They are read by the fare boxes, so we're able to know the numbers in terms of the number of students from Fleming and Trent that are using the bus. We don't necessarily get to drill down into, the student is getting on at this location. So we just can't provide that level of detail. So hopefully through maybe the survey, we might get a better sense of some of those overall percentages, but if you're looking for a true number, I just don't think we're going to be able to provide that to you. The riders from Curve Lake, again, it's not a separate pass that the folks from Curve Lake use, or even the folks that purchase through the community care offices. They're just our regular link pass. So we have no way of knowing exactly how many folks are using the service from those populations either. Okay, so I'll just kind of go through the report and just want to acknowledge and thank everybody who's contributed to it. A lot of effort went into it. So certainly Paris, Lily, Janice and Lane have all contributed to the prep of the report. And this is all really built from the Arcadis Professional Services Service Delivery Review that was provided to Council last November. And just to remind Council, that review, Council endorsed moving forward with taking a closer look at option 3, which was a trunk and branch model. That branch model would provide service to Bridgenorth and Curve Lake. So essentially, the decision was made last November that we wouldn't be continuing service into Ennismore. Just a couple of reminders about our current service. We started the service in 2021. I think my report notes 2020, so I apologize for that error. Just wanted to clarify that. The pilot, as you know, ends on March 31st of 2026. Currently, we have 2 fixed routes. They operate separately. Route 31 is the Curve Lake to Lakefield route, and Route 32 is the Bridgenorth to Ennismore route, and Route 32 is the one that currently serves Woodland Acres. They both come into Trent, and at Trent, riders can transfer onto Peterborough Transit, and as mentioned, that allows you to get through the transit service into Peterborough, but it also provides a critical link as well to GO service. The province made an investment of $2.36 million to support this pilot. And I think it's really important. We sometimes don't say great things about the province, but I think they deserve a lot of credit for setting up this program. And we certainly have benefited from it. Starting a rural transportation system is expensive, quite frankly. If you were to start it from scratch, as a community, you're making a huge investment because it takes a lot of time to build up a transportation system. In a rural area, quite frankly, we're not really that used to using a transportation service. So when you're starting from scratch, you need to make it reliable, accessible, affordable, easy to use, and consistent. And I think this provincial investment over a 5-year period has really allowed us to build up a very good service and build that trust. I would also say we've got a great contractor. We've got an agreement with Peterborough Transit. Our system integrates fully with their service, and that is a huge benefit for the rider. And again, that link into GO service is really important. Fixed routes are really ideal. They're reliable, they're consistent, they're affordable. People need to know if they're getting to work or school, what time that bus is coming. So I think going with the fixed route system was smart. We also meet all of our AODA requirements by using Peterborough Transit. So there's features that are required in regulation for us to meet when we're providing a transportation system. And if we were to go with a conventional bus service, quite frankly, they don't have a lot of those features. So there would be an investment on the part of a private bus service to meet those AODA requirements. We also get a great hourly rate from Peterborough Transit. They gave us a good rate. The other thing that really is valuable working with Peterborough Transit, it interlines with their existing service. So they've developed our service to complement theirs. It runs in Selwyn. And then when it's not in Selwyn, it interlines with routes that are in the city of Peterborough. So we're not having to pay for a bus driver for a 12-hour shift when they're not in operation in our community. They're just continuing on and moving through the Peterborough Transit system. we've talked a lot about ridership and just want to clarify, and Councillor Boyko did raise this. We're really talking about boardings. I think when we presented this the last time, we probably were talking about riders, and really the correct term should have been boarding. So just want to clarify that. And we have certainly increased our boardings. We started out in 2021 with about 4,300 boardings. In 2024, we were at close to 24,000 boardings. As noted by Deputy Mayor Black, our boardings are trending a little bit less than certainly last year. And we can attribute that to a few things. International student enrollment has had a dramatic impact on ridership. It's experienced province-wide. It's not about our service. People like it. It's just, this is a province-wide phenomenon. Peterborough Transit is experiencing it as well. We did have some weather disruptions this year as well. So those are things we can't control, but all of those things have contributed to some decreases in our monthly trends. However, I think we've got a pretty good stable route. And if we build from our 2025 model, then we can just continue to build ridership. We've got great funding partners. Quite frankly, we're the envy of anybody that's in the current CT grant program. The level of cost recovery at 70%, other services are just like, oh my gosh, they would die to have that. So it's great to have the student associations from Trent and Fleming as partners, and Curve Lake has been a partner right from the start, and their confidence in the system and their willingness to provide an annual contribution, I think, speaks volumes about their commitment. We do have lots of general riders too, so I don't think we can forget that. We've heard from a few of them today. I know that there are employees who rely on it to get into Selwyn, and we have employers who are really grateful that they're able to have this service available to their employees. Certainly we have students, and that's great because they're really helping us contribute to the cost recovery for the service. So moving forward, council asked us to look at option 3, which was the trunk and branch. The branches would be servicing Curve Lake and Bridge North. The trunk portion would serve the highest ridership area, which would be Woodland Acres and Lakefield. We then took a look at option 3 and thought, well, maybe we could take a look at a couple of sub options with that. So the greatest service being the trunk that would serve a branch to Bridge North and a branch to Curve Lake. Then another option where you'd have the trunk serving a branch to Curve Lake only. So again, the trunk would be Woodland Lakefield, and then 2 options for the branch. Option 1 being Curve Lake and Bridge North. Option 2 would be just Curve Lake. So we have worked out a little bit of route planning and some high-level forecasting of what the net cost of that would be. Option 1, we're looking at about $177,000 in net cost. I just want to reiterate that does include the financial contributions from the current levels from Trent, Fleming, Curve Lake, and we also, just to reiterate as well, if we make this a permanent service, we will be eligible for provincial gas tax money. That's annual money that supports transportation services. Option 2, the net cost would be in around the $102,000 mark. And again, that's with the same financial contributors, Trent, Fleming, Curve Lake, and the provincial gas tax. So just so you know, the provincial gas tax, it is a model, and they have a formula. So we would have to verify that actual funding contribution once we sort of get a little bit further along in the process, and depending on how council wants to move forward. Either option would allow us to build on the service. So if we wanted to reestablish service to Ennismore, we could do that in the future. We could also look at a service to Chemung Road with a connection in the Portage area to the transit service there. And we definitely, when we did the service delivery review, had riders and employers who were very interested in pursuing a route over to Chemung Road. So we recognize there is a taxation implication, but we really feel that this is valuable service and it's excellent value for having a continued township investment. We would propose to build in taxation support in the base budget. We don't propose to fund the net cost in one taxation year. We'd look at phasing it in line with the overall tax budget to build in reasonable taxation support. The province has allowed us to set up a really solid foundation for a fixed route system. We've got great partners and we do have high revenue recovery and we've got well-established users. Even with all the options that we're presenting today, there will be riders who are going to lose some access to the service as they've grown accustomed to it. There are riders in Ennismore right now. If we move forward with option 1 or 2, that won't maybe get a pickup right in Ennismore. If we were to select option 1, they might have to connect into Bridgenorth. So we know that there are some riders over there that will be impacted moving forward. If council decides not to move forward with any kind of service, then definitely there will be a number of people impacted. So at this point, we're really looking for council. We need to move forward with a decision. If you're not going to continue the service, we need to let the users know well in advance so they can prepare. If you are, we need to know what it is so that we can get some more work done with Peterborough Transit to work on some scheduling. So at this point, we're wanting council to confirm its commitment to the fixed route system. So that would kind of be the first step. And then based on that, let us know, do you like option 1 or do you like option 2? And then based on that, we'll go away. We'll work a little bit more with Peterborough Transit. We'll speak with our partners. Great to hear that Trent is willing to come to the table. Again, we'd want to have that conversation with Fleming as well. Curve Lake's already made their commitment, which is great and expressed today. And then we would do some confirmations with the province on the gas tax allocation. And then we'll bring you a funding plan as part of the 2026 taxation budget. And again, all assurance that we'll put forward a reasonable plan that builds in a reasonable taxation support level.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. It was actually an excellent report. Thank you. Are there any questions for Angie? Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you to you, Mayor Sennis. Yeah, thanks for the report, staff report. It's excellent. It covers all aspects of the challenges we have here with trying to make public transportation work. As you said, it's always challenging. Just for clarification, the budget amount of 177 for option 1 and 102 option 2, what's the impact on 2026 budget? Because we have funding till March, right? So it would be a portion, 9 months.
That's correct. Yeah,
It would be 9 months of the 177 and 9 months of the 102.
that's correct. Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so that makes a difference in the number that comes to us. Again, one of the challenges that for me to make a decision today on this is not knowing, other than Curve Lake firming up numbers. And that concerns me from a fiduciary responsibility point of view for members of council to approve something kind of blindly budget-wise today that, you know, potentially has up to 2% impact on the budget, when we already know we're somewhere between 5 and 6 already with what Mr. Vance has provided to us. That would take us to 8 or close to 8. So without knowing how much Trent is willing to put in, how much Sir Sanford's willing to put in next year. Again, my concern is, as I expressed to Iola, that you know, the usage is down by 32%. It's significant. It's not a small amount. It's 32% based on your 1337. a month currently in the 9 months versus 1990 in your report for 2024. So it's the difference of almost 24,000 down to 16,000 is the math on that based on 12 months. So my concern there is, again, ridership is decreasing, and given immigration policy and everything else, it's not likely going to go up much more. So we've had 3 years of numbers, and I think it is where it is. I don't see it increasing dramatically. In fact, it's down considerably. So if my numbers are wrong, Angie, please correct me, but that's based on the numbers I got out of your report.
Yeah, so I just want to, sorry, through you, Madam Mayor, just want to address that a little bit in terms of the student ridership. So right now, majority of our riders are students, but we also get a fixed amount from those student associations.
Right.
So I understand your point about ridership. However, it's almost, I don't want to say irrelevant, but the ridership isn't as much of an issue related to the students because they're providing us a fixed contribution.
True.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can I
Yeah.
follow up?
Mhm.
Yeah. So no, that's a good point. But ridership in general, I think, is where it's at. And I think we can see some small increases maybe as people get more used to it, but we're not going to see a huge increase in the numbers.
Sorry. Yeah, so just to be clear, the ridership decrease is really reflected in the student ridership.
Yeah, absolutely. The other concern I have is, again, trying to get numbers on what percentage of the ridership actually comes from Woodland Drive. I lived on Woodland Drive and used to walk to Trent University for different things over the years. My first house was there. It's somewhat of a shuttle bus from that road, and given that a percentage of the residents on that road are City of Peterborough residents, the buildings to the east of is it Heffernan? Or
Hetherington, I think.
Hetherington.
Yeah.
Are city residents that are using our service essentially. Correct me if
Sorry,
I'm wrong.
through
again
you,
there,
Madam
but-
Mayor, that's not correct. So the riders all along Woodland Drive are all Selwyn residents.
So the ones that are in City of Peterborough, they're using their City of Peterborough pass?
Yep.
And they're not getting on the link because there's
No.
no city bus there.
Correct.
Well, there's no city bus there though.
No, there's no city bus that goes up Woodland Drive. It's just the link.
Okay.
Yes.
So you don't think any of them are getting passes?
Sorry.
Our City of Peterborough people
Second.
getting passes from
Oh.
Trent University to use the link?
They could be, but
Yeah.
so if they're a Trent student.
Yeah.
They could get on the link because it's through their UPass.
And even though they're city residents?
Correct.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
my point. So percentage of the residents are actually City of Peterborough that are using the link.
But I don't think it would be because where are they going? Like the
Trent.
people. Sorry, the people that are going to Trent are from Woodland Acres and
Yes.
Summer Lane, and they're Selwyn residents.
Woodland Acres though includes, I'm talking Woodland Drive, includes all those apartments and many of them are in the City of Peterborough now. No,
They're in
the-
Selwyn. Sorry.
The
just
west,
so you-
the east side of Hetherington is the City of Peterborough.
Yeah, but there's no stop for those riders. Sorry, maybe I'm confused.
There's no stop there where the apartment buildings are?
No, for the link, no.
Okay. And the City of Peterborough is also getting $18,000 in the each year, based on a dollar transfer fee from the township. Is that related to, again, the ridership numbers? Because it seems to be consistent between both options.
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor. So for $1, the riders on the link are able to transfer onto Peterborough Transit Service. So
Right.
So for us, for our riders, that's a huge benefit. They only pay $1 to get onto Peterborough Transit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I'll stop there.
Councillor Koulos.
Through you, thanks. Sorry if you can't hear me. My question, sorry. So looking at this, I mean, we're talking about that we're the envy of a chunk of people who are doing pilots like this as well. It looks like we have a really strong partnership who are covering the majority of the costs. Do other pilots out there have the same kind of partnership? So like, is that the envy? I just want to clarify that.
Through you? Absolutely. Yeah, we're very fortunate that we have two educational institutions that are providing a direct state, like just an app, like a number that's provided annually to support the service.
So if they backed out, like obviously that's going to drain us a lot. I'm just thinking comparatively, do we know what the other areas are that we could go look them up and see what their partnership and numbers are that would come back either in a report or I could just look it up? I'm just thinking comparatively for like the amount that we're not footing the bill here compared to other pilots who are and are going to be in a harder position. I just would like the comparator.
So some of that information was actually in the Arcadis report, Mary, which
From last year though, right? Like it's 2024.
That's correct. So there is a link to that report in my report, so you could have a look at that data.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if we had gone and looked at them this year, given new tax share, inflation increases and such. But okay, I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I think the point is that municipalities that provide transit don't get other source funding. We are really fortunate in the fact that we do, and it would be minimally the amount we have to pick up to be able to continue the service. I also want to mention that, as Angie mentioned, the province has invested in us. They've given us a lot of money to get this link set up as a transit system and for us to get a good start. And they gave us 5 years to do it. They also are going to give us gas tax as a continued commitment for ongoing support. So my question is, if we were to just abandon this, I don't think that it's going to look good to the province. They have invested in us and we're saying thanks and forget it now. And I think it could possibly affect us for future projects. So it's not something that is generally talked about, but there aren't a lot of townships our size that are given. How many million were we given for this?
2.36 million.
Yeah. So that's just an aside concern I have if we were just to abandon this. We've already heard that the transit system supports the disabled and those who don't have the luxury of their own transportation. There are a lot of people out there that don't enjoy the ability to own their own car. So it's left to us is to make a decision. Are we going to carry forward with this? If we are, which option does council want to pursue? And then once staff gets that direction, they can bring us costing in the budget. And we've already been told it will be phased in. So I'm looking to council to come up with a motion as to what we do. Councillor Boyko.
Before I move to that, if I could bring forward some questions that I have of Angie's report.
Sure.
And thank you very much for this report. It's very fulsome and I appreciate all of the work that not only you but so many others have put into it. In your opening statement of the recommendation, and then on page 2 it says information, and this goes to my questions that I've been asking others about specificity, because we can speak in general terms of as I said in an earlier comment, of the concept of public transportation. And I don't think there's many people in this room or anywhere that would say that the concept of public transportation is a bad one. Everybody thinks public transportation is a good thing, but we're balancing that concept with the facts on the ground. So that's what I'm trying to ascertain, is more of the facts on the ground. So if I look at about 3/4 of the way down information paragraph, it says examples of businesses who rely on the link to serve their employees' transportation needs. And you've listed some, Tim Hortons, Bridge North Library. So did you, in preparing this report, did you go to the Tim Hortons and ask how many of your employees use the link, or Lakefield Foodland? Did you go to Lakefield Foodland and say how many of your employees use it?
No, I don't have that number.
Okay, so when it says examples who rely, it's what it's really saying is that a number of employees might rely, could rely, may be relying.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. We know that employees from these locations use the link. I do not know the number.
Don't know how many. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So if we could, and this is where I need some help with my arithmetic. And if I could ask if this is correct. So am I right here? Because when it comes to math, I may not be right. But if we say that there's 1337 boardings per month, and thank you for using the word boardings, because I know the consultant who came talked about riders and ridership, and that got confusing. So a boarding is somebody who puts their foot on the bus and enters the bus. That's a boarding. So there's 1337 average this year for boardings. 51% of those boardings are Trent University students, and 27% are Fleming students. And you said we know that because of the cards that are purchased. And just because we are saying they're Trent students and Fleming students, they are probably Selwyn residents. That's just how they're using it. Yeah. So that's 78. So 78% of the people that are getting on the bus are students, which leaves 22% are non-students. These could be people that Lori mentioned about community care. That could be Doug getting on and off the bus. It could be people using it to get to work for Tim Hortons and Lakeville. It could be anything. It's just non-student. So if we take the 1337 and we looked at the percentages, that means that of the boardings in a month, that means Trent has 681 boardings per month. That means Fleming has 361 boardings per month. And all the other Selwyn residents is 294 boardings per month. That's the way I figure out the math. So if we take what I'm looking at is the difference between boardings and individual people. And you've heard all of my questions I've been asking today. How many individual people are we talking about here? Doug, for example, is one person from, I'm sorry, I didn't catch his last name, calling Doug informally, that Lori Rourke introduced. Doug said he takes 70 trips. Well, that's 70 boardings, but that's one, that's Doug. So I come to that and say, how many actual people are using the buses? And so if a rider is, and elsewhere in your report, you talked about people in what I just asked you about are using it to get back and forth to work. Well, if you work at RJ Machine or SGS Research or Canadian Welding Skills, you're going back and forth to work 5 days a week. If you are going to Trent University or Fleming, you're going back and forth 5 days a week, which means, let's take an individual rider. If he takes the bus to work or to school and home 5 days a week, that means one person is boarding 10 times a week, right? Because he's going to work and he's coming home, going to school and coming home, which means that's 40 times a month. So one person is responsible for 40 boardings a month. Am I right? So therefore, if I do the calculation of 40 boardings per month, and I look at Trent having 681 boardings, the math works out to that's 17 people. 17 people are riding the bus. And the Fleming students, if a student is doing 40 boardings a month, because he or she is going to school back and forth Monday to Friday, 361 boardings, that turns into 9 riders. And all of the not the rest of Selwyn, all of the non-students who we don't know where they're coming from, that works out to 7. which means it looks like of the average of 1,337 boardings per month means that's 33 people. So all of this is for 33 people that are actually riding the bus. And I said that I have ridden the bus 4 times. And I remember an old math teacher saying it takes 3 to make a pattern. Well, I did a 4. So I saw the pattern. I rode it to around Lakefield to Curve Lake and around to Trent 4 different times. And I think you may recall me saying that most of those rides, it was me and the driver. The most I had was 9 people. I could resend those things to council if you'd like. And the most I had was there was 9 people at one point when we went around and picked up in Woodland Acres and into Trent University. But most of the time it was me and the driver or one other person. And that observation fits those 4 times if there's only 33 people riding per month. So I guess my question goes back, is this math valid? Or are we saying that there are 33 riders per month based on 1337 boardings?
Through you can work through math a number of different ways to come up with a number. I understand what you're looking for, but I can't give you that answer because I don't know how, like, I can't tell you how people are using the passes either. And you're assuming that a student maybe uses the bus every day. I'm not sure that they do. So there's a lot of factors that you're looking at. And if you just want to base it on a number like of riders to equate a value for the service, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is the number of boardings. Somebody is using the service a number of ways to get back and forth to work, to get back and forth to school in a safe, affordable, reliable manner. So it's up to council, I guess, to decide what you're valuing.
Thank you for that. So you could say the numbers can go anyway. So let's say the numbers, if the way that it has been calculated by the number of boardings turns into 33 people a month, let's say that's off by 10%. Heck, let's say it's off by 20%. That means we're talking about 40 people a month are taking the bus. So that goes back to what I said at the beginning when I said we're looking at the concept of public transportation versus the viability of this public transportation and whether 19,000 people from Selwyn should be asked to pay a portion of the cost of 40 people riding this bus. So I remain to be convinced. The next question, if I could, I'm assuming that staff, whoever asked Lori and the others who came, and Alicia Newton from Curve Lake, and the gentleman from Trent, and I assume that staff asked the people to write letters too, and that's absolutely valid, that council be given that information, and thank you. Did you contact somebody from Fleming and ask them to make a presentation too?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes, Fleming was contacted, their manager of their student association. He could not be reached in order to attend the meeting. In conversations with Fleming, very similar to Trent, they've always been supportive of the LINK service and have a transit budget to support that for their students. Okay, good, thank you. If I could have just this is the last point I want to make, or question I want to ask. If we go down this road, and I really want to hear what other council members have to say about this before we go to a decision, because I value their input as always. The assumption
that Trent and Fleming and Curve Lake and Selwyn will not be asked to pay more going down the road is based on a number of assumptions. And one of those assumptions is that the province will come through with a gas tax. I've looked up how much the gas tax has been. And in 2022-23, Peterborough County received $45,161 for a gas tax. And not for this, but for another initiative. And the city of Peterborough received 1.7. In 2023-24, that number went down from 45,000 to 41,000, as did the Peterborough for there, it went down. And then 24-25, it remained exactly the same. So from 2022-23, it has been reduced, and from 23, it's been frozen. So I'm wondering if it is a good idea, and I wonder if there can be any comment made on this, to say that we should go down this road with the assumption that the gas tax will be there when it looks like the gas tax is being decreased and frozen. And given the economic challenges of the province going forward with Trump tariffs and more, whether we can rely on the provincial gas tax.
I'd like to jump in here. The province does support transit. The reason that the county gets such a small number it's for a care mobile. It is not a transit system. The larger urban centers who have transit do get a considerable amount of money because, again, the province recognizes that it can't just all be on the backs of the taxpayers, and that's why they offer it. I think that the number that has been shown to us in this projected contribution for 2026 is a fair number, and you can't compare the county to what we are doing. And I wanted to see if staff wanted to add to that before we come back.
So sorry, through you, provincial gas tax is actually enshrined in legislation, and it's based on a formula. So it's a combination of ridership, your population, and the other thing that goes into the gas tax formula is the municipal contribution. So the province isn't going to give any municipality gas tax funding unless they contribute to the service. So it's some of those numbers that you're quoting would be a reflection of whatever that ratio is, and perhaps with changes in ridership, that would be why the numbers have differed with some of those services.
Yeah. If I could, the point that I was making was not what the provincial received. The point that I was making was that for all municipalities in Ontario, the amount received has gone down from 2022 down to 2024, and then it was frozen the next year. That was the point that I was making. Thank you. And thank you for that clarification, Angie. I appreciate that.
That's right, Henry.
Thank you, through Mayor Senes. And clearly, a lot of numbers to discuss here and financial concerns moving forward. I find it challenging that we're going to make a decision without actually knowing the actual true commitments from Trent and Fleming are at this time. We are creating a travel corridor through the middle of Selwyn Township, and for being rural ridership driven, that's the corridor is going to make it a little bit tough just because of our geography. I'm wondering, because I've been hearing a lot of community members in Buckhorn wanting to see access to this as well. And we're cutting it a little bit short going there. So I don't know if there's funds available from Buckhorn or if the interest is there on a more solid level than the feedback that I'm getting. Also today, we're going to be attending the county transportation plan and looking forward at that without that being decided on as of yet. I could ask, how's that going to impact our Link bus service, because that should be a part of the transportation plan as well. And we're still at the public inputs phase. Not so much questions, I guess, as statements so far. And we have a few extra months here. I don't want to push it right to the wire in considerations here, but I'm getting the sense that I don't think council is going to be able to make a decision in any direction because there's too many questions that aren't answered at this time. Fleming, Trent support, what's the actual numbers that are going to be there? What's the county transportation plan going to, what impacts will there be on the link potentially in the future, whether it's with lane closures on bridges or new bridges, or who knows what's going to happen here because it's still at the consultation phase with community members. Can we defer this for a little while and come back with the request from council so that we know what the funding is going to be and what the master transportation plan is?
Angela.
So I guess in terms of the funding partners, we know, certainly based on the conversation today, Trent and Fleming want to continue as funding partners. Curve Lake has made a commitment to an actual number. Part of it's a bit of chicken and egg. I can't go and give you a number unless I know what you guys are wanting to, move forward with. So Trent's not going to give me a number or Fleming without knowing what service we're going to offer them. So they're a financial contributor for sure. We just need a decision. Do you want to move forward with a fixed system? Is that what you want to do? Knowing that at the end of the day, there still is going to be a taxation requirement. So that's really what your decision is at this point. I understand that we don't know a final number. We'll bring that back. But your fundamental decision today is, do you want to offer a fixed route system, knowing that it could be up to a 2% taxation impact? Again, not built into 1 year. It would be built and phased in over a period of time in a reasonable manner.
Actually, I have a question. So you said 2%. If that would be, that would be looking at option 1.
Yeah,
Option 2 would be 1%, close to.
Sorry, we're just trying to give you a little bit of a range. So
Yeah.
essentially where we came up with the 1 to 2%, if you looked at the 2025 budget,
Yeah.
a 1% tax increase equated to 92,000 in new expenditure. So that's where we're trying to give you a percentage range. Lane, I'm not sure if I'm okay. So yes, we're trying to give you the numbers. We're being upfront about what the percentage increase is. We're not hiding anything. That's what the number is.
No, it's obvious.
Thank
Thank you through Mayor. I agree with Councillor Henry at this point, and I think I said it earlier. I don't have enough numbers today to because the motion you're asking us, you're asking to bake this into the budget. And we're gonna, whatever number you come up with is the number we're gonna have to live with in the budget. And I've been down that road before, misunderstanding motions, and that is the way the motion's written. If we decide today to move forward, it's whatever number staff come up with. And I'm not saying you're gonna come up with some crazy number or anything, but our fiduciary responsibility is to approve things based on numbers. So what I would like is to have the motion deferred for a month. And a couple of things that I think we need to look at. The number one, the gas tax, I agree with Councillor Boyko, is going down because of electrification. They're not collecting as much tax at the pump. So I think that number is not going to be going up, and they're not collecting any from electric car users for road transportation costs. So I believe that number is either where it is today or it's going to go down. I think the $18,000 that the city of Peterborough we pay for a transfer fee, all of those students also have a city of Peterborough bus pass. So like, I don't understand what the transfer fee is for. They would have the link and they would also have the city of Peterborough bus pass. So there's $18,000 there. We have an additional $40,000 in overheads. I'm talking about, and that doesn't change option 1 to option 2, those 3 items. So I'd like a little more information about the township employment costs are, and the admin costs, materials, 21,000. So I think there's some opportunities to sharpen pencils there. And And I'd like to have some confirmation from both Sir Sanford and Trent in writing that says they're going to contribute a minimum of the 75 and 50. And I think they need to contribute more because the percentage of ridership for both of them is considerably below what they're paying in total. So if you're talking about a cost sharing between the municipality and the users, it has to be a 50-50 in some ways. I'm not saying we can get to 50-50, but I think it has to be better than we're contributing today. So I would like some of that work done over the next month and bring these motions back so we have a firmer number on what the tax implication for us is. I don't think we can go blindly into the next budget, not knowing what the impact on that budget is. When I've said earlier, if you think it's 2%, we're talking close to an 8% tax hike. And we have lots of families that are struggling to buy food, pay rent, pay mortgages, and we have to make an informed decision here on what the actual cost is going to be to the taxpayers. I'm not against public transportation, not at all. Like I said, I do many other social areas that I work in, and social determinants of health. Transportation is a big piece of that, and I get that. But we also have to make sure that the plan we put forward is a fair plan for taxpayers and the users combined.
Angela.
Sorry, just to speak to the $1 transfer, that applies to the general riders. It doesn't apply to the students because they're already on a UPass. It's the general riders. Correct. Okay, so, and I can tell you in terms of the staff administration costs that it's about 20% of the position for sustainability. That's what we have come up with because a portion of that position does support the link reporting, any questions that come through about the transportation service. The additional admin costs would be things like we might have to make a purchase for the actual passes themselves, advertising and promotions, insurance. I'm thinking off the top of my head. So we do have all of those numbers. The numbers that are in the report, that's the net cost. I'm not sure what more information we can provide to you. And just to be very clear, we want some direction to bring this forward into the 2026 budget. Ultimately, council at that point could say
no.
No, we don't want to include this service at that point. But giving us the direction to move forward to that next step will allow us to do that work to build that into the overall budget planning. I can't give you anything different in a month. Really. That's really going to satisfy, I think, what you're looking
for. And I also have Councillor Coulis and Councillor Henry, so go ahead.
If I could respond. So the math on the 18,000 with the city, there's only 16,000 riders. And if it only applies to the non-Trent riders, which is only 20% of the ridership is non-Trent and Sir Sanford. So that should be.
It's the number of boardings. So every time somebody boards and gets on and off and they have to transfer. So it can work both ways.
Wait, you said earlier that was just the non-students.
Yes.
But it's $18,000. The non-students only account for 3,300 riders, and it's $18,000.
It's
boardings.
It's the boardings.
Boardings, yeah. So
It's the boardings.
3,369 is the number of boardings outside of Trent and Sir Sanford, and yet you're saying it's $1 per boarding for those residents. So that should be less than $4,000, not $18,000.
Oh, okay. Well, I will double check that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it's more dollars than actual total riders.
Sure. Sorry. Yeah.
Councillor Coulis.
I think Angie already answered my question. I was going to say, I don't think procedurally, if they came back in a month, there would be anything different, number one, but I don't know if then we could make a decision ahead of the budget. Like, I just don't think the timelines are going to line up with the other priorities on the table. So I guess my question is to staff, like, is a month helpful for you to do that? But I think it's already been answered.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. I think what you're trying to understand is what the overall impact in the budget is going to be. And I can't tell you that until we work through the whole budget. Yeah.
Councillor Henry.
Thank you. Through your Mayor, send us some follow-up to my questions or statements before. The great unknown seems to be the concerns here, and although it was brought up from the President of Trent's presentation there regarding safety and accessibility of the bus. I know it was mentioned by staff that we can apply for funding as Curve Lake did. Those models for funding will be completely different and separate. We don't know what the costs are to make it accessible. And I appreciate that the bus system does help us meet our AOTA standards, but it doesn't do anything if we can't get on the damn bus to begin with, if it's in an unsafe zone. So another cost, another thing in the budget is, when are we going to have to make it completely accessible, have shelters, have it in a way that we have sidewalks there for these people to go, if they're in a mobility device, how do they get on the bus if they're driving through the gravel? I have enough fun with it in my pickup truck. I couldn't imagine what a mobility device is like, having to manage that. So that's another question that is an unknown variable right now. If we're budgeting this, that's a cost that's got to be considered, because we're taking on an asset and we have to maintain the asset now because the provincial funding is stopping, but we also have to improve on that asset. So there's more costs here that aren't being discussed. Keeping in mind that some of our residents do get to benefit from having extra income from this. The extra income is having rental places, rental units for students as well. So we've got a couple of things that we do need to consider here, but I don't know if enough of my questions have been answered sufficiently for to make an actual decision right at this moment today.
Angela.
Sorry, and just to clarify the accessibility, we're not required to have every stop be accessible. So we would be strategic in which locations we might want to create bus shelters for accessible locations. We would promote and advertise to the general public so they would know the bus shelters that were fully accessible. And in all likelihood, we could probably get some capital money for something like a bus shelter.
Councillor Koulis.
I'm just gonna throw my hat in the ring here for option one. Let's just do it. Whatever, because we got to get this. I'm just tired of talking in circles here. So
So you're making a motion to go with option one?
yeah.
No,
My only rationale there is, like, we've already cut Ennismore, so I think cutting Bridgenorth would be problematic. Not that it couldn't be adjusted in the future, and that's why I'm putting my rationale above option two at this time.
right. And that would be with the knowledge that once we got information back with the budget, that a decision might be not to do it, correct?
Yes, and
So
I'd like a
everybody
recorded vote.
knows. Yeah, just so everybody understands. So, yeah, well, I need a seconder. Anyone seconding option one? I will second it. And is there any discussion on option one? Nope.
Get through, Mayor. Yeah, again, I think I've made my point from a fiduciary responsibility point of view. I'd like to know what those numbers are. I know you're saying you can take it, it can come out of the budget, but again, typically the budget is presented as a whole. In my preference in all council matters is to have separate items identified separately from the core budget, the core costing to move the municipality forward from a cost of living perspective and those sorts of things. And the other question I have is staff considering using reserves to help mitigate some of the impact to the tax budget moving forward? Is there an opportunity to put some reserves in there? Because again, I'm concerned at this point that we're saying yes and we're at 8%. And then we're gonna have to cut it when the budget does come.
That's for you, Madam Mayor. So So first of all, we've heard 8% lobby around quite a bit today. Staff have never presented that. We would never present that. So, eh? No, I didn't. I actually suggested that 5 to 6 is what we had in the budget already. So somewhere we went from 5 to 8. That's
Ron,
no, but we never presented 2%. We said that we were going to phase in whatever suggestions. Yeah.
right. So there's an option 1 on the table and it has been moved and seconded and a recorded vote requested.
Deputy Mayor Black. Counselor Boyko,
No.
Counselor Kulis,
Yes.
Counselor Henry. Mayor Senes.
Yes.
The motion is carried.
All right. Our next report is from Janice LaValle with regards to the Blue Box Depot Operation Agreement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I think all of council are familiar with the fact that our box material management is very different, starting with transition on January 1st, 2024. So now with producer responsibility, we have Circular Materials Ontario that is responsible for managing curbside collection and depot provision of depots throughout the province of Ontario. As you know, previously the County of Peterborough had been responsible for those services, and again, since transition, the curbside pickup has continued to be provided by Mterra through a contract with CMO. The county continued to pay as part of that process for the non-eligible sources to be picked up, but as we know that that provision is changing as of January 1st, 2026. There will no longer be any curbside collection for our non-eligible sources. Likewise, at our depot, we do have an agreement in place with CMO that helps to cover the costs of our depot operations. And we're allowed to commingle the non-eligible sources with eligible sources until the end of this year. When that ends, there can be no further commingling as of January 1st, 2026. So we are going to have to consider how Blue Box materials for those non-eligible sources or not managed at our site, and that will be subject to separate report to council. In terms of the eligible sources, we do have a change notice from CMO that has been provided to us. They would like to keep the depot at our landfill site and are continuing to offer support for that. After the initial change notice, there was some information back and forth and discussions back and forth. And at the end of the day, I have received written confirmation of some of the areas of concern that we had, but ultimately the change notice would turn into a change order, and it would extend the depot operations agreement for 3 years to December 31st, 2028. It would eliminate the ability to commingle any non-eligible source materials. We would have to strictly ensure that none of those materials are brought into the bins. It would establish a new compensation amount for the depot support of $3,400 a month, and reduce the promotion education funding from $1 a month per total household in the township to $1 per month to those households that do not receive curbside collection, and would provide limited promotion education responsibilities that are very specific to the township. So the compensation amount is somewhat less than what was provided in the transition period, and that is because that the excuse me, the depots are really intended to service those properties that don't have curbside collection. And we have a limited number. They say 299, let's say. But CMO does recognize that it would be impossible basically for us to manage where those vehicles are all coming from. And that there are other benefits as well. We have seasonal residents on private roads, sometimes there's missed collections, there can be oversized materials. So they are still willing to provide a higher level of support than that strict calculation of the number of households within curbside collection. There is, in addition to the very small amount of public education and promotion funding we would get through our operations agreement, there is also another agreement, what they call the recycling calendar agreement, that would provide us with, again, a limited amount of money from a range of about $4,000 to continue some of the promotion and education work that we currently do. Staff are working their way through that with me. Well, I did ask the question, if we can't come to an agreement in terms of what this change order would be, what would be the alternative that CMO would be looking to, and the answer received was that they would look for approval from the RPRA to find an alternate location for people to go that would be in another area to go, probably somewhere. Well, obviously that would not be very convenient for residents, and certainly doesn't provide for a consistent and desirable level of service. So I would recommend that we do move forward with a change order that is received, that sets out the provisions I've outlined in this.
All right. Are there any questions of Janice? Deputy Mayor Vlad.
Thank you, through Mayor Senes. Thanks for the report, Janice. I think we all knew this was coming. I think it's important to keep the recycling center at our landfill site. So when point 2 on page, that's 3 of 3. No, that's the top 2 of 2. So you have some bullet points there. Extend the depot operations agreement for 3 years. Eliminate the commingling of NES materials and remove the associated provisions to calculate the monthly reduction in monthly compensation for NES materials. So we're not going to receive non-eligible materials anymore?
No, so the depot that CMO would provide funding for, you are not allowed to permit any non-eligible source material, blue box materials in that depot. So we will have to look at what we would do with non-eligible sources moving forward. There are a few options that we're considering. There will be another report that comes back to council on that. So this is really just how we can get support from Circular Materials Ontario to operate the depot for the eligible sources.
Thank you. Follow up through you, Mayor. Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges with what's going on out there at the county level with this is the businesses that want to bring their recycling into somewhere to deposit it. And so they won't be allowed to do it in the landfill, our current system, right?
They would not be allowed to deposit the material in this depot.
In this depot, which is our existing setup.
Which is our existing setup.
So there'd have to be a separate depot area for them to do that in.
So council is going to, again, a separate report will come back, and council will have to consider options. To consider creating a separate area. Obviously, there's going to be costs associated with that, not accepting them at all, or perhaps there's a facility that maybe we could direct folks to. So we'll be bringing that report back, hopefully at the next meeting, council.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we're actually getting less revenue, but it is a revenue source. At one time we got nothing.
That's right.
Now we're getting something. My problem with it is they're reducing the amount spent on education, and education is the key. People don't know what is eligible and what is not eligible. And the rules are different right across the province, which just exacerbates the whole thing. So yes.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Senes. So as part of this whole process, that is supposed to change. So what is supposed to happen is that what's happening across the province, it's everything, it'll be the same everywhere. The materials that can be collected won't be any different in Selwyn than they will be in the city of Toronto. That's the way it has been proposed. We don't have that final list of what materials will be collectible at this point in time. My understanding is they are still working on it. In terms of the promotion education, again, the reason they're reducing our compensation is because EMO is taking on that responsibility. So they will be preparing all the materials. They will be doing advertising. They will be doing the promotion and education on their own. So they've reduced the amount of funding that they're to provide to municipalities. Again, we will be able to hopefully get a small amount of funding that will help with our seasonal recycling calendars and some of the other work that we do for PD as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Coolidge, you had your hand up.
Through you, my question was just answered. I was going to ask if any other bodies were offering the education, so it was out of our hands, but that's been answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have the recommendation before us. Someone like to move it, please? Deputy Mayor Black, Councillor Henry, seconding, all in favor. That is carried. Thank you. And now we will go to Adam, who's going to talk about our standpipe.
Thanks, through you, Madam Mayor. As you recall, in the 2025 Department 31 capital budget, we included funds to do complete engineering and design on the rehabilitation of the Lakefield standpipe. So we're working through that right now. We're at about the 90% stage. The goal will be to tender and construct next year and reestablish the standpipe or recommission the standpipe next year. As part of the review process, we had a look at the coating system that's on the current standpipe. And given the paint condition, it's actually in really good shape. So the engineers recommended that we do like a primer on it and actually clear coat the standpipe, which would extend the useful life by 15 to 20 years. So we're in the kind of that threshold right now where it's really optimum to try to preserve the existing coating on it. So we'd like to take advantage of that. With that though, when they do prime the standpipe, it will cover up the existing logo. So this is an opportunity to kind of revisit the logos that are on the standpipe. So we brought that back to council. Staff's kind of recommending that we look at design option 2. We did some kind of high level markups that are on the report. That would include the Township of Selwyn logo as well as the Lakefield letterhead. Keeping in mind, we are looking at the elevated tank in the next 2 years. The initial input from the engineer is that the coating system on that tank is in good condition as well. So once we've commissioned the standpipe next year, we then turn our focus to the elevated tank in 2027 and look to clear coat it as well and preserve its useful life. So with that, staff's making the recommendation that we proceed with design 2 to incorporate the township logo and the Lakefield placement on the standpipe, and that we also be directed to include that same design with the elevated tank in the coming years when we do the rehabilitation work there as well.
Okay. Any comments, questions? Councillor Boyko.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Sennis. I see this as one more way in which we can say that we are Selwyn. We are not Smith, Ennismore, Lakefield anymore. And so I would like to move this motion.
Right, thank you. And Mary, would you like to second it? All in favor? It's carried, thank you. Anybody want to pull anything from consent items? If not, I'll need a mover for them. Deputy Mayor Black, seconded by Councillor Boyko. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And we will now move on to Roma delegation requests. So, are there any delegations that you'd like to have at the next conference? I believe you had requested one. We have that on the list.
It would be good to get council to pass a resolution to endorse which Roma delegation do you want to move forward with. And if you like, we do have time, so we could bring this back to the next meeting as well. I think Councillor Henry, oh, now I'm just blanking out on what it was.
Motion.
Through you, Mayor Sennis, to speak with the Emergency Management Ontario regarding any fundings that would be available for us, programs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Give you a chance to think about it. Just keep in mind that if we put a lot of delegations in there, we end up running around to all of them and miss the sessions. So anyway, think about it. All right. And we will now go to Councillor Boyko's notice of motion. Councillor Boyko.
Okay, through Mayor Senes, we discussed this at the last meeting, and it was moved, as the minutes reflected, that council wanted to see a map that reflected the 2001 Isabel Morris plan before we move forward with this motion. And I said at that time, great, and I would bring the motion forward at the next meeting, which here it is. So I'm assuming that the council has had a chance to look at that map, and the people who met, the number of people that met at the River Den. Sorry, I was trying to remember the name of I was about to call it the Scout Building, at the River Den. That night last month, we were invited. Mike Richardson was invited, I was invited, and the deputy mayor was invited, and we were there at the meeting in which we heard a number of community groups championing the idea of moving forward what is in our strategic plan and what is in our Parks and Recreation plan, and that is a performance space be put at that northwest corner of Isabel Morris Park. At least they said that would be the best place for it. And we heard the representative from the chamber say that the Chamber of Commerce supports this wholeheartedly because of the economic development opportunities that would come to not only the village but Selwyn broader if there was a performance stage like that had activities on it. So therefore, I'm bringing forward this motion again, saying that the idea is in the strategic plan, the idea is in the Parks and Recreation plan, specifically for Isabel Morris Park for a stage such as this, and so therefore the motion is be it resolved that staff determine and report to council for its consideration as part of the current budget creation process the resources needed to make the links between Parks and Recreation, economic development, and community engagement more intentional through conducting a feasibility study to continue the process of constructing a permanent multi-use performance space at Isabel Morris Park or an alternative Selwyn Park. So the purpose of the motion is not to say we're building this stage. The purpose of the motion is to say the first step is let's do a feasibility study to see if it is feasible to build this stage at Isabel Morris Park or elsewhere. In fact, this motion is really saying, could staff come back to us and say, how much would this feasibility study cost to do in 2026? And then council will look at that as it's part of the Parks and Recreation budget or economic development budget and say, fine, let's carry forward with the feasibility study as part of the 2026 budget. Or council might look at it and say, no, let's take that feasibility study out in order to get the tax increase down. So all this is, could staff consider how much would it cost to do a feasibility study? Could that be put in the 2026 budget draft documents so that council could then consider whether to carry forward with it or not? That's the purpose of the motion.
Thank you. Has someone seconded it? Councillor Henry.
Thank you, through Mayor Senes. I will second this motion. However, I'd like to make a friendly amendment. Did someone figure out how to spell Isabel in this motion? Because it shows up two different ways, and I want to make sure we got the right park mentioned, because it's ISO and ISA. So I don't know which one we use, but
whatever the correct one is, let's put it in.
As there is technically not a lot of cost into finding out. It's an
Abel.
It's Abel. Okay.
All right.
Okay. And Deputy Mayor Black.
Just, yeah, through you, Mayor. So I support the motion. I think it's an important step moving forward to understand the costs. And as Councillor Boykos indicated in that room that night, there were lots of folks around the room that would also be willing to fundraise, contribute to that cost. So again, you know, that's part of the process moving forward, understanding what, you know, a reasonable cost amount would be, and then council determining whether we can cover all of it or half of it, and then have some fundraising around it done. So it's really just getting the number at this point for council to make a decision.
I'm sorry. So they are saying that they would fundraise for the feasibility study? I see. Any comments? I made this comment the last time we talked about this motion, and I still feel the same way. I've been in a lot of elections, and it's not a good idea for council to bring forward a feasibility study to do work such as this in an election year. At some point, we could end up being a lame duck council. It isn't just the cost of doing a feasibility study, it also has to do with who's going to be doing the work to do this feasibility study. And from what I can see, it would be Parks and Rec. And I've already made the comment that next year we've got a lot on their plate. We're talking about trails. There was a motion made that they be busy with that. We are going to have a new project, a Lakefield campground. The Ennismore Arena floor has to be replaced. The accessible playground's going to be put in, and you're adding to the work of one department, and it is not a good idea. Do I think this should be done? Absolutely. It's in our rec study, and yeah, it should be done. I just think the timing is not good. I think we should hold off for a year and look at it in the following term. And because I think that if we keep adding to one department, which is what we'd be doing, and there'd be other staff involved as well, an election year does bring extra work on our admin staff. I think we're setting staff up and council up to fail, and that's not a good thing to do an election year. Councillor Cullis.
Sorry, through you, I lost my mouse. I just have a couple of clarification questions. I do echo first what Mayor Senes has said. I'll note that I know like when a feasibility study comes through, it does impact multiple departments. And Councillor Boyko has indicated that he's weaving it through Parks and Recreation, Economic Development, Community Engagement. Like we're trying to do that. But my first question here is like, you have multi-use performance space at Isabel Morris Park or an alternative Selwyn Park. And I'm wondering if, because you're putting the or, that's going to greatly increase a feasibility study. So I think my question here to council or to staff is if it's just on Isabel Morris Park, is it going to be one price? And if we include like alternative spaces, does that increase the cost? I know we can't have numbers specifically here, but for the feasibility studies they've done in the past, is that a trend?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. For sure, I think the scope of work, that your price depends on your scope of work, right? So until we actually get a scope of work developed and actual RFPs, which we wouldn't have time for in terms of the capital budget, we kind of have to make a good guess, but you really wouldn't know that number until your scope of work is finalized and you get some RFPs from companies who are qualified to do this type of work. I think a big step first would just be, you know, what is that feasibility of having that type of space in the township? Is it gonna bring a lot of economic development? What can we expect? And then you'd have to evaluate different locations if you are looking at more than one. So for sure, having more than one, I think would make a difference. Just to your point as well, certainly any study like that, is it going to affect the Parks and Rec department? For sure it is, but it's going to impact all the other departments as well. In particular, finance is always, getting pulled into those studies from a financial perspective. Management, community and corporate services, obviously with communications and helping to gather information and work through information. There's a real significant impact there as well. That, as Pearson has said, on top of an election year. So it is a lot of work for everybody involved, for sure.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Yes.
Or a comment maybe? Is like a compromise putting a year on this, John, Councillor Boyko? Like, could you say after the next election, this be brought up in say January 2027 or December meetings? Just so whoever's on council, that it is first and or front and center for them. It's not lost and then it's still there.
So you're suggesting defer it until the next term?
Yeah, or yeah, like right after the election, just to get it front and center for whoever's there. So it's not lost, but also then it's like still front and top of mind because whoever's gonna be here there's gonna be a lot that comes out of the election either way, right? So it's just settling in, but still having that reminder ingrained in another agenda coming up that we know it's gonna be there and we can think forward to it.
Would you be willing to take a friendly amendment?
If I could respond through you, Mayor Senes, all that would do is take this motion and throw it away because it is already there. What you were suggesting is already there because it is there in our Parks and Recreation Service Plan. It's already there because it's there in our strategic plan. So basically what we are saying is because there's an election coming up, we should throw it away? No, I don't believe so. I stand by the motion as it's written.
Can I clarify?
Yes.
Sorry. No, my clarification here is you say the current budget creation process. And so like that's my concern is that we're saying we don't have the time, we don't have the resources. You're gonna have to pick and choose on what's gonna be the focus. And so I just worry that I'm echoing what Mayor Senes is saying. Is like when you go out there, you're creating a standard for yourself, for all of council and for staff. And if we don't meet it, that's going to look real bad going into an election, like a year from now. So what I'm saying is like defer it to, you could even say November 2026 to discuss for the upcoming cycle after that. I'm picking the semantics of where you're saying current budget creation process, because I just don't think it's feasible right now. Pun intended to this.
Can I ask a question to staff? Do you have some kind of a ballpark figure as to what you think what is being asked for here would cost? Am I asking an unfair question?
Well, maybe a little bit, because again, until we have a scope of work and understand really what we're looking for somebody to do, and then to get it out there and get those prices, it's really hard to say. Anytime we go out looking for some sort of a consulting study, we'd probably use at least a $50,000 figure in terms of that would be your kind of your placeholder. So could be a little less, might be a little more, but you're looking for high level idea. That would be best guess for a placement.
50,000. Okay. Councillor Colas.
Sorry, maybe a clarification question to Ron and John and Mike, if I can't see if he's in the room, I think he is. These individuals and groups who said that they would fundraise to help foot the bill, are they expecting to do this fundraising and provide the money in the next coming year? Or are we footing the bill and then they're going to give us money after? Like what was discussed there?
Could respond to that, Mayor. Yeah, no, I think there was discussion around the room of how to fund this. I think at this point, we're really just looking for a ballpark number. I don't think anything would happen next year other than maybe some of the fundraising around it might start happening. We can certainly firm up a price, down the road for it. It doesn't have to be approved in the budget. We really need to get a number out there to start the process of fundraising, start the process of trying to scope out exactly, again, it would be more consultation maybe with the group as the township initially to understand the scope. So it's really getting an understanding, and I know that's challenging without scope for staff, but if, even we could get a range of it's, between $30,000 and $50,000, depending on how wide the scope is. At least it gets the ball rolling with the volunteers that showed up that night to say they're interested, they want to start working on this. Will anything happen next year? Probably not. I mean, from a staff point of view, other than, again, getting us a ballpark number at this point to work with, that we can say to volunteers, hey, we're going to have to raise half of it. And so nothing would probably happen till 2027 anyways. So I understand there's work involved. I'm not minimizing that for staff. But I think we just need an idea of what it's gonna cost, and then we should work from there.
Can you change your wording to reflect that? Because that's not what this says. Please, can you?
Well, it's not my motion and I didn't second it, so.
No.
I have to leave it.
John, if that is what the intent is, because what Ron is saying is not what's on paper here. So,
What is your suggested amendment?
pardon?
What?
Mine?
Sorry, you're asking me to change wording. What are you asking me to change?
Yeah. Sorry, maybe if I can try and just understand. So I think if I was to interpret what Deputy Mayor Black said, it was more of a, let's figure out what the scope of work might look like in 2026. Let's figure out what the scope of work might look like so that then we can come up with a figure that we have an idea of what that cost would be to move forward with the feasibility study in a future year. That's what I heard.
And I could support
Deputy Mayor
that.
Black. That's very different
Yeah.
than what's in your resolution.
Yeah.
So we really need some direction on what actually your motion is to say.
Press this button. Okay, if you could then, could you, I noticed Angie, you're writing furiously. Were you able to capture everything that we're talking about in the words of a motion?
Yes, I think so. And certainly Janice can help me here. So I think that you want staff to provide or develop a potential scope of work that would provide a potential consulting fee to look at a feasibility study to construct a permanent multi-use performance space in 2026. So really what you're looking for is a little bit of that work to be done in 2026 to come up with a high level number of what that feasibility study might cost.
But it wouldn't be in the budget this year.
Yeah, it would need to be put in the budget. It's really just putting it into
Yeah,
a work plan
yeah.
in 2026.
Yes, I will make,
You'll make the motion she made.
yeah.
We'll tidy up the final word,
Thank
but
you.
I think we understand the spirit of what you're wanting.
Yeah,
to
but I
do.
really want to, before I vote on it, I want to hear some wording. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That puts, I'll word something. Do you want to maybe park it for a minute and you could maybe
Sure.
chat about,
Go to
Yeah.
Ryan's. Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, we'll go, so we'll leave it with you and we'll come
Okay.
back because, yeah, okay. What we're talking about is different than what was there and I can support that. Yeah. Anyway, okay. We'll move on to Councillor Henry's motion. His little novella.
Thank you.
Councillor Henry.
For some reason, my motions always become a pain in the ass for everyone.
No, they don't.
Oh,
I do create laundry lists, but that's kind of how we get our grants. We ask for 10 million. If we get 1 million, we celebrate. So, as we're all aware, Selwyn Township, in particular Lakefield, has experienced a couple of hits to its downtown core. 2 fires that occurred on the same day. I grew up in a community. I actually watched the exact same situation happen in the town that I grew up in, and the fire stopped right beside my father's jewelry store. And it was an icy night, and it was caked in ice when the fire was put out, which was right beside his building, with extensive smoke damage and water damage. And the real pathetic part of this situation I'm referring to were people out in the streets that had little strainers. My father had a jewelry store and they were panning for bolo.
Wow.
Thankfully, the community of Lakefield's integrity is much higher than this and came together than the individuals I experienced in my hometown. So basically, I just want to see township outline how we're going to move forward with this, with supports for the Lakefield business people having a business in Lakefield, which still operates. I'm just no longer in a physical space, But having been there through COVID, a Derico, an ice storm, Burnham Street construction, and Water Street construction. I'm actually thankful I was able to sell my business back in April, because this is gonna take a little while to recover from, probably 3 to 5 years. And 3 to 5 years, I think, is fair, simply because we have to go to a community transportation plan this afternoon, and we're going to be discussing bridge closures, bridge building, just the reconstruction of the my notes. To try just reconstructing the building that's there, or that needs to be rebuilt, is going to be problematic, because it's just more construction. So I do bring forward the motion, which, bear with me. I'm going to skip all the whereases, because there's a few of them. Or basically, therefore, motion that I'm bringing forward is that we look at under taxation and assessment, the council be advised that in accordance with the authority granted to the treasurer under the Municipal Act 2001, Section 357, application has been submitted on behalf of the affected property owners of 18 Burnham, 20 and 26 Queen Street that experienced total structure losses due to the significant impact on the assessed values and the imminent closure of the year-end assessment roll. And further, that information has been provided to the owner of 7 Queen Street due to business disruption, and that staffs be directed to continue working with the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation to ensure that all documentation and supporting information related to the section of 357 applications are in order and all reflective of the current and accurate condition of the affected properties. And that once confirmation is received from MPAC regarding the reassessment, the treasurer will notify the property owners of the outcome and any resulting property tax adjustments. Also, under business outreach and support programs, the ECDEV staff will be directed to proactively reach out to impacted businesses and property owners at an appropriate time. And they're going to be discussing the pre-consultation process to facilitate the rebuild plans, provide detailed information on available grants and funding opportunities, including but not limited to the township community improvement programs, program financial incentives, urban design study grant with the facade and landscaped. And signage improvement grant programs, share information on potential available properties for retail relocations with the township that may be suitable for temporary business operations, facilitate connections with potential sources of local financing and business support, such as Community Futures Peterborough and other relevant community-based resources. Continue to share resources and information with the community business through e-newsletters, social media, and the website to keep everyone informed and up to date. Let's see what you guys say.
As I said, a novella.
All right, so through here. So marketing and promotion, yes. The staff be directed to work in partnership with Peterborough County Economic Development and Tourism Services to implement a targeted multimedia marketing and communications initiative with the following objectives: of increasing foot traffic and sales for local businesses, enhance tourism interest in the village of Lakefield and the broader Selwyn community, promote leverage upcoming and existing events and local programs, share authentic stories of resilience, recovery, and community spirit, align with regional shop local, support local, and visit local campaigns delivered through the Local Advantage Initiative. As well done through community collaboration and business roundtables. The staff collaborate with key community partners, including the Peterborough Kawartha Chamber of Commerce, Peterborough County Economic Development and Tourism Services, RTO8, and Community Futures Peterborough to organize and facilitate business support roundtables to provide collaborative guidance to the businesses impacted economically by business disruptions, including enhancing social media strategies, digital presence, and marketing efforts. Explore opportunities for business, stopgap financing, and other transitional supports as applicable. And vibrancy and vagrant storefronts. The staff work with the affected business owners to collaborate with the Regional Tourism Organization, RTO8, to create and install temporary window signs or displays in vacant storefronts or on vacant properties to enhance the visual vibrancy and maintain a welcoming street landscape in untended vacant commercial spaces. And finally, through monitoring and reporting that the staff, that we direct staff to provide quarterly progress updates to council through the quarterly report outlining what actions are being taken under each theme with this motion, the outcomes achieved and partnerships established, ongoing challenges or gaps identified, and recommended steps to advance recovery and revitalization initiatives. These reports shall be provided on a quarterly basis beginning in first quarter of 2026 and continue until such time as council determines that the recovery objectives have been substantially achieved.
Okay. All right, so did you have a seconder on this motion? All right, seconded by Deputy Mayor Black. And yeah, for sure. Sure.
Thank you, through your mayor. Thanks for that motion, Councillor Henry. I think it's important to help Lakefield recovery, the businesses. The home hardware was the center of the universe for many people in Lakefield to come to, and it pushed businesses to other stores at the same time. So it was really a significant draw to visitors and residents into Lakefield to shop. And of course, that's going to be some time recovering. So I think anything we can do to help small businesses there are important. I think the idea of making that property, and I'm assuming it's just going to be leveled and be a gravel area for a period of time until they get drawings, and as you say, it'll be 2 or 3 years before, a couple of years probably before it's constructed again. But so I do support the idea of making sure the township is allowing pop-up businesses, other types of events on that piece of property that typically wouldn't be zoned into that property, that we make some exceptions to, again, create a scenario where people want to come and see that, and then maybe, do some shopping elsewhere. So I support, that kind of initiative and how we can make that work within our existing zoning bylaws, temporary bylaws, whatever, that would allow other types of functions on the property that aren't typically a part of the existing zoning bylaws. So the other thing that I just get a question for Lane is with respect to MPAC. I know I've been down this road a couple of times with buildings that have changed. And this late in the year, there's this balancing, I don't know if that's still the case, where if there's excess money in the MPAC budget for us, then we can give some of it back to people that have had taxes lowered. But if there's not, and I ran into that situation where I got my assessment lowered, but there was no rebate from the municipality because it has to balance at the end of the year. It was a number of years ago. I don't remember that's still the case, but if you could maybe respond to that. So it's not an expectation that there's going to be taxes returned on a property if it's not available.
Sure, through you, Madam Mayor. So the paperwork that I submitted to MPAC, we would traditionally forward that link or provide the link to the owners of the property and say, here it is. If you think you qualify, then go ahead and complete this. In this instance, because of the significant community response, because it was obvious, given the magnitude of it, but more importantly, because of the timing, completed the paperwork myself and sent it in. Because of the fact that the end of October is the keying date at MPAC. So what I was trying to accomplish was that when the final year-end roll was completed, that it was at the new rate assessment, so the new CBA as opposed to the old ones. So right off the bat, that would make life so much easier for the owners of the property, and then also for us when we build it. And then because of the fact that the the damage happened in October, there should be a period of time from October to December 31st when there should be a rebate of any taxes that would have already been paid for the year plus. So we're just in that stage now dealing with impact and trying to get some confirmation back. If it doesn't hit the roll, then that will, by the time I believe I set the final tax rate, I'll know what the number at least is going to be and I can make some adjustments. But it's a significant commercial structure in the downtown core, so I want to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. We're, I guess, like a really generic way of saying is we're all over it. We're trying to get it to trying to get the correct information, and I'm just reaching out to Impact on a weekly basis to follow.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to do your best on it. I just know there are a lot of rules around impact and timing, and I just didn't want to set expectations that weren't realistic. But it sounds like maybe they're willing to work with us on it too.
Yeah, through Madam Mayor. If it was after November 1st, I would be very clear and just say, sorry, there's nothing you can do at this point, and we'll have to follow the proper paperwork trail. But because of when it happened and the efforts of what we're trying to accomplish, then hopefully.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah. So thank you for bringing this forward. It talks about what can be done and what we're doing right now. There is the Peterborough County ACDEV and Tourism is working with the township and has a scavenger hunt going on right now in Lakefield, and you can go by foot, use your phone, and they've got in 11 of the businesses on Queen Street, you can go in and they've got a sign that you turn around, it has a letter on it, and then you have to come up with whatever the word is that they've got. And there are prizes involved, but it's encouraging people to go into the downtown by foot. And hopefully it works out. It started on Friday, goes for a couple of months. And of course, Ladies' Night Out is starting. That's something that the businesses themselves have set up, and it works very well on Tuesdays and Thursdays in November. You can go when the shops are open then. And it's a fun evening to be out with the girls and have a glass of wine and do some shopping. They have lots of sales going on. So that's just a couple of things that are happening in Lakefield right now. And I know that economic development and tourism are looking at other ways to support the village. So it's a good thing. So thank you for that, Councillor Boyko. I'm going to call the vote. Oh, you have questions?
Just, yeah, if I could, through your sense. Yeah, I think this is great, and I'm not questioning any of it, but we've had a lot of conversation throughout this meeting about a number of issues regarding the impact of various motions and directions on staff. So I would like to, there's under each bulleted item, staff is being directed to do this, do that, and do the other thing. So I'd just like to give staff an opportunity to say, is this something that is achievable, or would this be adding unreasonable time pressure on staff, given everything else we've been talking about, not only in this meeting, but everything else that's coming forward?
Yes, thank you. Through you. Councillor Henry actually came in and spoke with Lane and Janice and myself, because I think he understood if he was going to be coming forward with a recommendation, he would want to make sure it was achievable. So everything that we discussed is either part of our existing work plan or very doable, because we've had some commitments from other stakeholders agreeing to help us with this.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before I call the vote? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. I'm looking for someone to move the confirming bylaw.
If we could, we're going to circle back, I think, to the, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Angie was wordsmithing.
Angela.
Sorry, thank you. Janice helped me here as well. My biggest challenge would be trying to read my writing. That the 2026 work plan include the development of a high level scope of work for a feasibility study to investigate the construction of a permanent multi-use performance space in Isabel Morris Park or other suitable township location. Sorry, township owned, I should say, location, in order to establish an estimated price for such a study to be considered for a future budget year.
And I will move that motion. And in moving, I'd just like to say that I really appreciate the and respect the conversation among the council members and all of the staff to come up with this. I think it's fantastic. This is the way it should work. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that was moved. Did you second it again? Councillor Henry seconds it. No, Councillor Henry seconded it. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Now we'll go to the confirming bylaw. I need someone to move it. Councillor Koulis, seconded by Deputy Mayor Black. All in favor? It's carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Henry, Deputy Mayor Black. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. 4 o'clock we have to be in.